This video is about multiplying binomials, and the goal is I can multiply two binomials. First, let's try some review exercises. The directions state, find the simplified form of each expression. So for number 1, I see I have 8x squared times a negative 3x cubed minus 4x minus 5. So here I'm going to distribute the 8x squared to everything inside the parentheses. So I have 8 times a negative 3 is a negative 24. X squared times x cubed, I'm going to add the exponents, so I have x to the 5th. Then 8x squared times a negative 4x is 8 times a negative 4 is a negative 32. And then x squared times x is x cubed. Last, I have 8x squared times a negative 5. 8 times a negative 5 is a negative 40, and then x squared. Now let's try number 2. So this one I have two variables, a and b, but again I'm going to distribute the a cubed times b squared to everything inside of the parentheses. So a cubed b squared times a negative 2a cubed. If you want to think of an invisible 1 here when you multiply, you can do that. So 1 times a negative 2 is a negative 2. A cubed times a cubed, I'm going to add the exponents, so a to the 6th. And then b squared, there's no other b term in that monomial, so I'm just going to keep it as b squared. Then I'm going to do 1 times a positive 5 is a positive 5, so plus 5. And then I have a cubed, I have nothing to combine with that, so I'm going to write a cubed. And then b squared times b is b to the 3rd power. Now let's do some example problems of multiplying two binomials. So the directions state, find the simplified form of each expression. So I have two binomials. Here's the first one in the first set of parentheses, and then here's the second one in the second set of parentheses. And our goal is to multiply each term in the first set of parentheses by each term in the second set of parentheses. So let me show you what I mean by this. So I'm going to start with 2x, and I'm going to multiply that by everything in the second set of parentheses. So let's do that first. So 2x times 3x is 6x squared. And then 2x times a negative 7 is a negative 14x. Now I'm going to take the second term in my binomial of that first parentheses, which is this 4, and I'm going to multiply that by everything in the second set of parentheses. So I'm going to multiply it and multiply it here. So 4 times 3x is 12x, so a positive 12x. And then 4 times a negative 7 is a negative 28. Last thing I have to do is combine like terms. So I have a negative 14x and a positive 12x, and that becomes a negative 2x. And then I'm going to drop down my 6x squared and my negative 28. So I have 6x squared minus 2x minus 28 is my final answer, and that's also written in standard form. Number 2, let's do the same thing for this one. So I'm going to start with the first term in my first set of parentheses and multiply that by everything in the second set of parentheses. So I have x times 4x is 4x squared. And x times a positive 3 is a positive 3x. Now I'm going to start with my second number in my first set of parentheses and multiply that by everything in the second set of parentheses. So remember, that's a negative 6 I have right there. So I have a negative 6 times a positive 4x is a negative 24x. And negative 6 times 3 is a negative 18. Next, I'm going to combine like terms. So I have a positive 3x and a negative 24x that I'm going to combine. So first I'm going to rewrite 4x squared, and then I have 3x minus 24x, which is a negative 21x. And then I'm going to drop down the negative 18. So I have 4x squared minus 21x minus 18. For the third example, I'm going to show you guys how to use the box method. So all I did was I made a box and I put 4 squares inside of it. I'm going to take my first binomial, so 3m cubed plus 5, and I'm going to write the 3m cubed above the first set of boxes, and then I'm going to write the positive 5 in front of the second set of boxes, and then I'm going to take my second binomial and I'm going to write that on the side of the box. So the m is going to go in the first place and the positive 6 is going to go in the second place. So now for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this m and this 3m cubed make up that first box. So 3m cubed times m is going to be 3m to the 4th. Then I'm going to do this m times our positive 5, which is a positive 5m. Then I'm going to do this 3m cubed times 6, which is 18m cubed. And then 6 times 5 is 30 for the last one. So I have that 6 and the 5, which makes 30. Now I can look at this and I can combine like terms if there's any like terms. If not, I'm going to write it in standard form. So I'm going to start with the biggest degree, which is 3m to the 4th. So 3m to the 4th, and then I have the 18m cubed, so plus 18m cubed. Then I have my 5m, so plus 5m, and then plus 30. So the box method is a different way to do it. If you want to, you can still distribute like we did in the first two problems like this. So either way will work. For number 4, I'm going to show you the box method one more time. So I'm going to put my first binomial at the top. So 8z squared, and then the negative 6. And then my second binomial, I have 3 plus 5z squared. So I'm going to write the 3, and then the positive 5z squared. Now I'm going to multiply 3 times 8z squared is going to give me 24z squared. And then I'm going to go across. I have 3 times a negative 6 is a negative 18. So that came from here and here. And then we have 8z squared times 5z squared, so that came from here and here. And 8 times 5 is 40. And then z squared times z squared is z to the 4th. And then we have 5z squared, which is coming from over here, and that negative 6. So that's going to give us a negative 30z squared. Now I'm going to write this in standard form. So I'm going to start with the biggest degree monomial, which is 40z to the 4th. And this time I have some stuff to combine. I have negative 30z squared, and I have a positive 24z squared. So that becomes a negative 6z squared. And then our last term is a negative 18, so I'm going to write minus 18. So again, it's up to you whether you choose to use the box method or you just distribute using the little arrows.